Coming up, with a little over a month away till the opening of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, we talked the possibility of a virtual queue boarding pass system for the attraction. The Epcot Overhaul timeline keeps getting crazier, and will a paid FastPass perk like Disney's Maxpass in Disneyland ever come to Walt Disney World? All that and more on the way. This is the Magic Weekly, episode 146 for the week of January 23rd, 2020. Hello everyone and welcome to the Magic Weekly, a weekly Disney questions and answers show covering all things Walt Disney World and beyond. This episode of the Magic Weekly is sponsored by DVCReservations.com. DVCReservations.com offers easy on-site rentals to all the Disney Vacation Club resorts at a steep discount to Disney rack rates. And if you're a DVC owner, there's never been a better time to list DVC points, making sure that none of your DVC contract gets wasted. With high demand, pricing freedom, and a team that does all the work for you, DVCReservations.com is ready to make the magic for you. I'm your host, Braden, creator of Mickey Views, coming to you from the Mickey Views Magic Studio for the first time ever doing a Magic Weekly here in Orlando, Florida. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So everyone, it's been a while since we've done the Magic Weekly. This show used to be, if you haven't been here very long, this show used to be back in the day a news show, a weekly recap news show, but now I cover the news all week. So then it became a Q&A show where I just answer some of your guys' questions each week. And then I haven't done that since like May 2019. So it's been a little bit. I was busy, with moving down here, and I was working on some stuff last summer. Anyways, come to this week and it's been a pretty slow week Disney news-wise, but there's been a lot going on in the Disney discussion space. There's a lot of speculation about things coming up, so I thought it was a good time to bring back the show. I don't know if it's going to be sticking around. The Magic Weekly probably isn't the best name to keep calling it because I don't really know how often we're going to be doing this. Anyway, so I put out a call on Twitter for some questions, and we're going to answer some questions here right now, so let's get into it. So our first question this week comes from Mousecapros, who asks, thoughts on boarding groups / FastPass options for the Runaway Railway on March 4th. That is the opening date for the attraction. March 4th, 2020, the ride will be opening. Now, the boarding group situation has been a bit of a fiasco recently. Now they're doing the boarding groups out in Disneyland, and here it has just gotten crazier and crazier and crazier here in Walt Disney World in regards to Rise the Resistance, the headliner attraction in Galaxy's Edge, which does have this virtual queuing system and has since it opened last month. Now, last month when Rise the Resistance opened, I was there opening day, I got a boarding pass, and I really liked the system because essentially how it worked is everyone would start lining up at the park around 4 a.m. and then when Disney was ready to open the park or the attraction, that is when they started letting people in. So the first people that were let into the park were the people that were there the earliest, and they therefore were the first ones to get the boarding passes, right? So it was a first come, first serve system. So it was a very sure way. Like if you want to ride Rise the Resistance, it's very simple. You just have to get up very early. Like it was a very easy system. You could know exactly what group you were going to be in basically based on where you were in the crowd, how early you got up. And then Disney changed it going into the holiday season, where now the way it works is Disney lets everyone into the park, and then at 7 a.m. when the park opens, that's when the boarding groups drop. So essentially what you have is this massive crowd on Hollywood Boulevard, all looking down at their phones, waiting to hit that button. And it's been wild because it's essentially a lottery system. You could have been the first one into the park and you might be in group 89 that like it goes at the end of the day, or you could be the last person that gets in before it's 7 a.m. and they drop all the boarding groups, and you could be in group 1 or 2, literally. So it's a pretty crazy system to say the very least, and I don't think that it's a very fair system, whereas before when it was first come, first serve, it was very simple. There was a very easy way to make sure that you got a boarding group, where now with this lottery system, they've been running out of boarding groups at 7:01 a.m. That means that all the boarding groups for the entire day ran out in 1 minute. So you might be wondering, why is Disney still doing this virtual queue system at all? I thought this was just for the opening of the attraction. Why is Disney still doing it? Well, it's quite simple, and it's the ride system. The Rise of the Resistance attraction in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is a trackless ride system where sometimes the communication with the vehicles can get out of sync and they have to reset the attraction. Now, you can actually monitor this. There's a website called Thrill Data where you can actually see where all of a sudden Disney stops letting in more boarding groups. And that's where you can see where the attraction is down, where they have to reset the attraction. Now, the first time they had to reset it was only 20 minutes into operation on the first day. And I was there in the queue, and the manager of the attraction, I believe, she said, hey, everyone has to leave, you have to get out of the queue, we'll give you a fast pass to come back later. And that's actually what happened. So the question a lot of people have is, okay, we're past the holiday season. Why is Disney still doing this virtual queue system? And it's because of that trackless ride technology. The fact of the matter is that Disney can't risk having a huge line in the standby queue and then the ride is down for several hours because they have to reset it and there's some sort of technological error. And the fact of the matter is when you are sitting in a queue for a very long time, you are not making Disney money. That's just a fact, and also you're not really having that great of a time either. So it's kind of on Disney's end, they don't want you in queues all the time because that means less time you're spending in gift shops and buying food. And on your end, you don't want to be in a queue all day, right? So that's where this virtual queue system has gone in and really helped out a lot of people because you can just get your boarding group. Okay, I'm going to be going probably later this afternoon. You can hang out, you can go ride other rides, you can get food, you can shop, you can do all that sort of stuff without literally having to be physically waiting in the queue, which is a great help to a lot of people. So as you can tell, I'm personally a fan of the virtual queue method, the system, but right now the way Disney's administering the boarding passes, I think the lottery system is not good. They should go back to first come, first serve, in my opinion. Now, here's where the big question comes in. What is Disney going to do when the Runaway Railway opens on March 4th? As Mouska Pros asked in this question, what is Disney going to do? How is it going to work? And my prediction is Disney is going to have boarding passes or the virtual queue system for both the Runaway Railway and Rise of the Resistance. I think they're both going to have boarding passes when you get into the park when they're both open because they're both the same ride system. They're both this trackless ride system where there's going to be times where the ride is just going to be down because the ride communication is off. They have to reset stuff. There's going to be technical difficulties. And when you have people sitting in a standby line, as we talked about, it doesn't make money for Disney and it's not enjoyable for the guests, especially when the attraction isn't even running. Disney wants you to have a good time. They want you to buy merchandise and food. That's why FastPass exists in the first place, by the way. The whole reason they invented FastPass back in the 90s was they figured the less time that you spend in line, the more time you spend in the gift shops and all that sort of stuff. So that was the cost-benefit analysis they made to even make the system in the first place. And I think that also definitely applies to the virtual queue system here. And I do like the virtual queue system a lot. So my prediction would be when the Runaway Railway opens, we are going to have boarding groups for both Rise of the Resistance and the Runaway Railway. Rise of the Resistance especially, I don't see them getting rid of the boarding groups anytime soon. And in the case of the Runaway Railway, which has even more externalities to it. It's going to be more ride vehicles. It's way more insane than Rise of Resistance. Rise of Resistance, you're in a car. There's 2 cars per loading group, and you sort of go around the ride. It's going to be way crazier with Runaway Railway. And there's also a locomotive with Goofy that's in part of the attractions. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that all has to work together, and there's definitely going to be some times where it's not syncing up properly. So I think if we do see the same performance we've seen with Rise of Resistance, where it continues to have downtime with the Runaway Railway, which seems highly likely, then I do think that we will see boarding passes with the attraction. Now, when I was thinking about the likelihood of the Runaway Railway having boarding passes or the virtual queue system, whatever Disney ends up calling it for the Runaway Railway, I was thinking, what is the likelihood that Disney only allows you to get one boarding pass of the 2? Because when you go to Disney's Hollywood Studios, once the 2 big new attractions are open, you're going to have Rise of Resistance, you're going to have the Runaway Railway, you're going to want to do both in one day, right? So I was thinking, is Disney only going to allow you to choose one so that way more guests can at least experience one of them? The more I thought about it, though, the more I was thinking maybe Disney will make it so that you can get both a boarding pass for Rise of Resistance and the Runaway Railway. And assuming they keep doing this lottery system where they drop all the boarding passes at 7 a.m., what you would have to do is have what is the attraction you want to do the most, and that's the one that you have opened on your app so you can hit the button early so you can get a good time. And then hopefully you can hope that you can hop over to the other attraction, in the app and actually get a boarding pass for that one too before they all run out. I do think that is how the system could work. The unfortunate part of all of this is for the normal guest, someone who isn't really into Disney like we are. I mean, if you're watching this show, right, you know what's going on. I feel like for people who are just a normal guest, this whole system is so stressful, you know? We're gonna talk about FastPass in a second, and I just wanna say, like, when I'm in the parks, sometimes I see people arguing and stuff, it's always because they're so stressed out because they had to research all this stuff and have this crazy schedule put together, and then, you know, it doesn't live up to expectations, right? You know, the schedule gets out of whack, they spend too much time in one thing, you know, one person that planned everything out is so stressed out and they're really disappointed. It's like, oh, it's all ruined, you know? So I'm a proponent of, I like the idea of what Walt wanted, right? Where you have this theme park where you're there for the day, you know, with the kids, and you just have fun. You know, that's what Disney should be at its core. And lately, when there's so many things that you have to do to experience everything, and there's all these hoops to jump through, it's better for us because we know how to jump through the hoops, so we can basically guarantee that we get to experience all this awesome stuff, you know? So for people who actually go the distance and do all the effort, it is great. But for the people that just want like a more spontaneous thing, that don't have like tons of knowledge of everything going on, it's kind of understandable why some of them wouldn't be too happy with the system. Guest relations has been amazing though with Rise Resistance. A lot of people that have gotten boarding passes and then their boarding pass hasn't been called by the end of the night have gotten like free day tickets. Like the next day they can come back again for free. They give them a ticket, they put it on their account, like all sorts of stuff. Disney is amazing on the guest relations front. So if there's anything like that where you sort of get like inconvenienced when you're in Walt Disney World or something doesn't go right, go to guest relations because Disney is world famous for really helping you out there. They are excellent at that. So that is what I would say there. Awesome question, Mouska Pros. We're going to move on to our next question. Our second question this week comes from Pei, who asks, what do you think about the possibility of having to pay for fast passes? Pretty interesting question, paying for fast passes in Walt Disney World. Now, I think Pei is specifically asking about like you pay for one fast pass, like an individual fast pass, a system like that. But what I think is more likely we see happen is something like what Disneyland has with the Maxpass system, which is hugely popular. And if you don't know what this is, the Maxpass system is this system where for $15 per day per ticket, you basically get this extra perk where from the app, as soon as you're eligible, as soon as your FastPass cool down window is over, you can go on the app and you can get your next FastPass without having to physically walk over and get your physical paper FastPass at the FastPass distribution area for whatever attraction you want to ride later on. And the value proposition is there immediately. Like, why is this worth $15? Well, I don't have to, you know, go over to the attraction, grab a FastPass, then leave, then come back to the attraction later. I can just do it all from within the app. Now, the thing is, even though the system is hugely popular out in Disneyland, I think you can kind of tell why we haven't seen it in Walt Disney World. We already have that system in Walt Disney World for everyone, where you can make fast passes from your phone. But here in Walt Disney World, it is a lot crazier. If you think about it, the limiting factor with the Disneyland FastPass system is physically having to go get it and how many fast passes you're able to manage to get in a day. With MaxPass, it's in the name, you're maximizing the amount of fast passes you can get in a day by immediately getting the next one inside of the app and not having to walk around and all sorts of stuff like that. The limiting factor for FastPass in Walt Disney World is that you only get 3 per day. They only work in one park. You can only get fast passes for one park per day, no matter what. And almost all the good fast passes, they're already all booked up 60 days in advance. And usually Disney saves a few for the day of, and you have to be like refreshing the app, you know, like crazy all day. And also, usually all the good rides are put in one tier. So you can, once you choose one good ride, if you manage to get one, you can't get a fast pass for any of the other good rides. So there's a lot of limiting factors to the fast pass system in Walt Disney World, which means from the executive perspective, there's a lot of ways to make money off of this. If Disney were willing to do some sort of paid package to get better fast pass perks, there's a lot of limiting factors in Walt Disney World. So there's a lot of things that they could offer here that would make some sort of paid fast pass perk worth it. And the thing is, club level guests at Walt Disney World, they already get perks that solve a lot of these issues. For example, club level guests at Walt Disney World, they get 3 extra fast passes. They can also make FastPass Plus reservations across multiple parks in a single day. They can get FastPass Plus reservations 90 days in advance. And craziest of all, they can get multiple FastPass Plus reservations in one tier. So they can get all the good rides in one park if they want to, all in one day. Now, just laying out to you the current system in Walt Disney World, I think you can see, it's fair to say the system is pretty broken right now. You know, all these things with the tiers and all these things, it's really not a well thought out system as it currently exists. The My Magic Plus program, how they did the FastPass, a lot of people did not like, and I do believe that the old system was better, the paper FastPasses, quite frankly. Can you imagine if we had like a Maxpass type system here in Walt Disney World, where you could just go on your phone, you know, you get a FastPass, you have 1 hour to use it, you know, an hour cooldown, and then you can grab another FastPass on your phone, and there's no like 60 days in advance planning or 90 days in advance planning. I mean, in Walt Disney World these days, you have to know 120 days out what you want to eat. At some restaurants that get booked up super early. Like, that is crazy. Like, what do I want to eat 100 days from now at 3 p.m.? Like, that's something where it's like, okay, that's pretty crazy. And personally, I'm someone who's very spontaneous. I don't think that I've actually done a FastPass Plus reservation in years. And here's why. Here's why I haven't done it in years. First of all, unless I'm staying at a resort, you know, pass holders, they get 30-day advance booking for FastPass Plus reservations, and most of the time, all the good attractions are already booked up. Additionally, I just like to go around the park, you know, wherever the news is or wherever I feel like going that specific day. And the current system in Walt Disney World, as far as FastPasses go, as far as reservations in general go, it's made for people who plan super far out in advance. So generally, I just enjoy, you know, going around doing whatever. That's why I normally eat at the Satuli Canteen in Pandora. You know, it's counter service, it's great food. I don't have to, you know, book something in advance, all that sort of stuff. So I have fun in Disney without having to plan anything out, and I highly suggest a lot of other people do that too. Although in specific instances, like with the Fast Passes, you do have to get those pretty far in advance. But don't like make yourself stick to, I have to do these Fast Passes, I have to make these reservations. You know, like, just enjoy it. If it happens, it happens. If you're not feeling it, don't do it. Of course, with reservations at dining venues now, they actually charge you if you make a reservation and don't show up. So figure out at least the day before what you want to do as far as that is concerned. But when it comes to Fast Passes, don't take it too seriously and you'll have a lot better trip. So what could Disney do as far as a paid FastPass offering in Walt Disney World? Primarily, I think just making all those club level perks I just laid out public would be the way to do it. And speaking of someone who's spontaneous in the park, there are things Disney could charge spontaneous people for, like FastPass. Like, imagine if Disney saved a certain amount of each attraction, those FastPasses, for a paid FastPass perk you can get the day of. Just like with preferred parking. What is preferred parking at all the parks that's so successful at Walt Disney World? It's for the people who get to the park and say, oh, you know what? I don't want to have to walk a mile to the ferry, right? And then they just pay the $20. They can park super close to the front of the park and they can skip that step altogether. So it's basically a charge where, you know, you get there, you're in the moment, you're not feeling it, and they say, okay, for $20, you can park way up in the front. That's a cool perk, and I think they should do something like that with FastPass. Like, you just get to the park and you're like, well, I don't have any reservations, you know, I didn't do all the stuff 60 days out, and you sort of get penalized for it. You get charged, you have to pay for this extra thing, this special thing. But basically, I feel like there's a way where you could charge money for people to be spontaneous in the park. So essentially what I'm saying is, if you're someone who 60 days out is on there, gets the Flight of Passage FastPass reservation, to you it's free. But to the person the day of who wants to ride the Flight of Passage FastPass, they can pay $20 and then have access to a lot of the FastPass selections you had 60 days in advance and got for free. So there's still an advantage to planning everything out. There's still an advantage for being on top of everything. But for people who want to just be in the moment, show up at the park, spontaneous for an additional fee, they can get some of those same perks. That's what I would do with the FastPass system. Let me know your guys' ideas of what you would do. A lot of people say they just want more FastPasses. You know, just pay for an extra 3 FastPasses like the club level people get. The thing with that is, the day of, when you look at the FastPasses are bad. You know, the FastPass selections aren't very good for what you can get. And additionally, how many FastPasses realistically do you need? Like, looking at FastPass Plus reservations, we talked about the tiers situation. You know, once you get a FastPass for a good ride, let's say 60 days out, you have access to all the attractions in a park. Once you get that one FastPass for a good ride, that whole tier is gone, right? And then you have to choose from the other things. So what's the use of just having an extra 3 FastPasses? Not really much. So that's why I think they should do something like preferred parking, where you just get there and in the moment you're like, you know what, I don't want to, you know what, I want to ride Flight of Passage, but I don't want to wait in a huge line. And then that's when you pay for this special perk. I do think that would be pretty cool. Let me know your guys' thoughts. I do think it would slightly fix the FastPass system. The fact that Disney hasn't done anything like this, or even offered the club level perks they give the club level people, like as a paid offering at all, tells me that I don't think Disney has landed on not only what they would do if they did do a paid FastPass system in Walt Disney World, but additionally, I don't think Disney has landed on what they want to do with the FastPass system itself. Because right now, I feel like even they would admit that the system does need some work and probably some changes to it. I think we will see those in the not so distant future. So that is my idea there. Let me know what you guys think. Great question. question, Pay. Our third question this week comes from Figment, who asks, why are people saying the estimated completion date for the Epcot Overhaul is going to be 2023 or 2024? I thought it would all be ready by the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World. Well, Figment, this is a common misconception. I don't think Disney really helped themselves here at the D23 Expo. Like, they didn't really say, oh, the Epcot Overhaul to be completed by, 2024, to be completed by 2026. They didn't say anything like that because I don't think Disney knows for sure when they're going to be done. A lot of times when you're looking at huge changes like the Epcot Overhaul, you have a lot of phases that are planned out. And oftentimes you don't get to all those phases, quite frankly. Looking at Hollywood Studios, Toy Story Land was phase 1, Galaxy's Edge was phase 2. There were 4 phases. Where are phases 3 and 4? We don't know. They haven't happened yet. They haven't even started yet. So it's really a question of when are we going to get those phases, right? And looking at the Epcot Overhaul, it's clear as day there's multiple phases to this thing. The first phase is fixing the middle of the park, obviously. So everything from the entrance through to the entrance to the World Showcase. So from the port of entry to the entrance gates, everything from there, even all the way to parking, even stuff outside the park, all of that is being fixed. We have a new entrance experience. We're going to have a new entrance area inside the park, inside the gates. Then you're going to have an updated Spaceship Earth. Then everything after Spaceship Earth is going to be completely different. The VIP building attached to Spaceship Earth, the post-show area, that's all going to be gone. The Interventions West is being torn down right now. That's going to be a whole new area. You're going to have the new elevated structure. You're going to have the new Moana area. The stuff in Interventions East is going to be all different. They're redoing Mouse Gear right now. There's going to be like new dining over there, all sorts of stuff. So that is the first mission, to basically change everything from the front of the park to the port of entry down the center of Future World, or what is going to be called World Celebration. Now, even just what I just laid out, even that is not going to be complete by the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World. What will be complete as far as the Epcot Overhaul goes during phase 1, or kind of pre-phase 1 if you think about it, is everything going on with the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster and the Play Pavilion. Now, the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster, that'll be done by 2021. The Play Pavilion and the Wonders of Life, that'll be done by 2021. So those will be new 50th anniversary offerings that will be ready at Walt Disney World. Additionally, if you look at the center area that they're bringing to the Epcot Overhaul, I do think there's a good chance we see some of that open before the 50th anniversary is over. I guess you could say, and evidence pointing in that direction is under Spaceship Earth, they redid the pathway on the Gateway Gift side, and they did it in like a couple days. They did it so quickly. They went from the old pathway to the new pathway, all complete. They redid the inside of Gateway Gifts. It was like 2 or 3 days. It was absolutely crazy how quickly they completely transformed that area. And given how fast Disney is working now in Epcot and how many crews are constantly working on these projects day and night, I do think that we will see the center of Epcot, the center of World Celebration, that area come together before the 50th anniversary is over. Like, come together in full force, quite frankly. Now, I'm a little concerned on the Spaceship Earth front and the elevated garden front. They showed concept art of the inside of that building, and it's like an Epcot like film studio area, like a broadcast area. It's very weird. It's quite obvious that that whole idea has not been completely fleshed out. I think the whole idea behind the elevated garden is you can sell dining packages and things like that. You can have this awesome view of the new show Harmonious, which is coming this spring. And the other idea with it is that's going to be your new festival center area. So you have a bunch of festival booths. Kevin from Up is actually pictured in the concept art walking around down there. But I'm a little worried about what we're going to see happen there in that little section. Like, how soon are we going to see that all come together? If they do build the elevated structure, which does seem likely. I mean, they have so much concept art for it. They have a model of it in the Epcot experience. Disney does seem fairly committed to this idea. Perhaps we will see it all come together quite quickly and built quite quickly. But that is a serious structure that will definitely not be built overnight. But, redoing Interventions East, putting in the Moana water area, all that should be done by the end of the 50th anniversary. All that should be built and completed by the time 2021 is getting near close. I would say it'd be done by then. I kind of want to hedge my bets a little bit because I don't think it's going to be made that quickly. But just think of the fact that Disney is working so fast and blocking off the entire center of Epcot, which is essentially what it's going to be looking like when all the spring break crowds come, and what it's going to be looking like for most of this year. Like, Disney is going to want to redo that center area fast. Just look at this map of Epcot. Like, how long can Disney keep Epcot looking like that? They can't, right? Like, they can only have it looking like that for so long before they have to get stuff open, before they have to let you back in that area. So I think the idea is to redo Interventions East, and then that section will open, so you'll be able to go from the front of Epcot through by Innoventions East. You'll know you'll have new stuff, you'll have the updated mouse gear, and then eventually the new dining will open over there. I think that's going to be the first phase that we probably see, and then I think that's also where we're going to start to see the Moana stuff come together. That's the phases that I think we're going to see this in. Now also there's something coming to Epcot called Dreamer's Point. We're going to have a new Walt statue, and that's going to be out where the VIP building currently is, the post-show area of Spaceship Earth. The thing is, first, Spaceship Earth is going to have to go down for refurbishment, and we don't know when that's going to be yet. Then they have to take down that VIP building. Then they have to build the Walt statue, the whole area over there, the Dreamer's Point area. So that's probably going to take a little while. That definitely will not be completed this year. Would definitely be my guess there. So there's a lot going on in Epcot, and safe to say, to your question, Figment, it'll not all be done by the 50th anniversary. This project is going to go well past the 50th anniversary. In fact, things I'm hearing with the Imagination Pavilion, we're probably looking at like a 2024 opening or somewhere around there. I'm already looking like the 2025, 2026 area as far as some stuff that will be going on. Now, the thing I'm a little bit concerned about is they are starting this enormous overhaul to Epcot. They have this vision with all these phases. We're going to do the center area, and then we're going to branch out, and then we're going to do Imagination Pavilion, which obviously needs a lot of help. I think the Seas Pavilion needs a lot of help. And the thing that you're thinking is, how much of this is actually going to happen when you're going to see this turnover in the leadership of the company? Bob Iger is supposed to be retiring next year. If he does actually leave the company and he's no longer the CEO, and you have someone new in charge with a new vision, how much of what had been started is going to continue? Because if you recall, when Disney built Epcot in 1982, the very following year, Michael Eisner came in and everything stopped. They were going to build the Equatorial Africa Pavilion. They were going to build Spain, Israel, all those pavilions, and that didn't happen. And that's because you had a new vision, a new visionary in charge of those projects, overseeing the company and the parks. So given how ambitious this overhaul is and how long it's going to take to complete, you start to wonder how much of this is actually going to come to fruition before things either slow down. Maybe there's going to be some external economic factors that force Disney to slow down, like if there's a recession or something. There's so many factors at play for what is looking like another 5 years of overhauling in Epcot before just what they currently have mapped out actually comes to fruition, not to mention whatever they come up with next. So safe to say there's a lot going on in Epcot. It'll be interesting to see how exactly it goes, but it will not all be done in time for the 50th, but we will get the Guardians Coaster, which is going to be a giant e-ticket attraction that I'm very excited for. I don't like the ride building, the Guardians ride building. It is terrible. I don't like where they put Guardians. It does not belong in Epcot. But the ride, I am very optimistic it is going to be awesome. I wish they had animatronics in it. It sounds like it's going to be all projection stuff, but still, a story coaster where you're spinning around and the cars are rotating, so you're looking at projection screens and you're inside the world of Guardians of the Galaxy. That sounds amazing, and safe to say I'm very excited to check out that attraction when it opens next year. Thanks for the question, Figment. Our fourth question this week comes from Kyle, who asks, why do they feel the need to change the World Showcase icon? I just wanted to bring this up for just one quick second. At D23, Disney brought out all the new pavilion logos for Epcot going forward. When Epcot opened, it had all these awesome pavilion logos, and most of the original pavilions that are still around, they retained their original logos. One that did not, interestingly, is the World Showcase, which used to have this symbol where it was like a person on the globe. It's supposed to represent, the people of the world, right? The World Showcase. That was what the icon meant. Now, the icon is just this. It's just a globe, an empty globe, like the globe emoji you can do on your phone. And that's all it is, which is kind of interesting if you think about it, that they changed that one while all the other original pavilions retained their original logos. Now, I have a suspicion why they made this change, and I think it has everything to do with Spaceship Earth. Because the original Spaceship Earth icon that they're keeping, it's the Earth going through time, right? It's us going through time. And now that it's not just about communication in the attraction, it's going to be about our shared story. It's going to be about the cultures of the world, the storytelling aspect, all that coming into one attraction that's sort of symbolizing Epcot and the journey you'll have in the park. It's sort of going to be the mission statement for the entire park. The fact that one, it's the Earth moving through time, I think they thought, okay, if that's the globe moving through time, we'll take that globe and that will represent the countries of the World Showcase. So that's why the icon is now just the globe. Like, these are the countries of the world, these are their individual cultures, and then we take that globe and we put you on a story through time in Spaceship Earth. I think that was the idea behind why they changed the logo, or they just thought it looks too much like a guest relations logo, which a lot of people always thought that was like the guest relations symbol or something like that. So I think that's why they changed it. Let me know if you guys have any other other thoughts on that? Good question, Kyle. Our fifth and final question this week comes from Tomas, who asks, do you think that the new Zootopia Land still has a chance of coming to Walt Disney World? If so, what park do you think it would be in? I wanted to talk about this because I've been a big proponent of the idea of a Zootopia Land in Walt Disney World for a long time. It's been a rumor for a long time, and it's always something I've wanted to see happen. I really liked the Zootopia movie when it came out. I really thoroughly enjoyed that film. And I was a big proponent of it replacing Rafiki's Planet Watch on the northern section of the Animal Kingdom. The idea being you get on the train and, it's like you're inside the world of Zootopia. You're going out to the city, and then you have a land and you have attractions back there. I thought that would be cool. But the visionary of the park, Joe Rohde, in some very nice words, totally put down that idea, like completely. And what he pointed out is someone was asking about the idea of Zootopia and the Animal Kingdom, and Joe Rohde brought up the fact that Zootopia is about human problems, like social issues amongst humans represented by animals, right? The animals are a representation of the humans. Whereas if you look at the Animal Kingdom, it's about actual animals, actual animal problems, actual animal environments, and things like that. And sort of saying that's why it doesn't fit in the Animal Kingdom, because it's about human problems, not animal problems. And I do think that's true. So I am off the Zootopia bandwagon. Joe Rohde, he's a genius. He's 100% right. He is the visionary for the Animal Kingdom, and that's something to be appreciated. Looking at Epcot, my favorite park, I just think, what if it had a visionary that stuck through with it, right? Like, what if it had a visionary that the executives look to, all the Imagineers look to sort of say, this is what the park is about. You don't see the same thematic issues and clashes when you have like a sole visionary behind it. Look at any good movie with a writer-director, right? Like, it just has that amazing vision, that amazing focus. Same thing with a park, and that's something that's exemplified so well in Joe Rohde and everything he's done with the Animal Kingdom. Now, here's the thing that makes me a little bit concerned, though. As much as Joe Rohde is the visionary of the Animal Kingdom, we all know that it's just a matter of time before the executives want to do something with Dino Land USA in the Animal Kingdom. The Animal Kingdom Pandora was extremely successful. We'll probably see an expansion of Pandora at some point with another ride. It is so successful, Disney's going to want to do more stuff in the Animal Kingdom. Of all the parks, if you look at what they've done with the Magic Kingdom, what they're doing with Hollywood Studios, what they're doing with Epcot, they have done a lot in those parks. I feel like the Animal Kingdom is one that's been less touched than all the others. And looking at Dino Land USA, which they opened in the first place because they needed more attractions when the park opened. People were complaining there was enough for kids, there weren't enough like little rides for them to do. That's why it was created in the first place. Looking at it so many years later, I think now the executives want to do something more serious with it. I think it's just a matter of time before we see something happen with it. And whatever that something is, I think it'll likely happen here in this decade, in the 2020s for sure. We're going to see something happen with Dino Land USA. There's going to be some sort of new attraction in there, or they're just going to completely redo the land. Whatever the case may be, my concern is that they're going to want to put in intellectual property that is not going to live up to this vision that Joe Rohde has presented as to why Zootopia shouldn't be in the park. Think of the contenders that we've heard as possibilities to replace Dino Land USA or get an attraction in that area. Tarzan, a Tarzan Rainforest roller coaster. That's a human. I mean, he's living in an environment with animals, but it's very fictional. Does that fit, right? You look at something like Indiana Jones that's been rumored for that area. Indiana Jones isn't exactly about animal problems, right? So eventually, I feel like there's going to be a compromise where you're going to have to put stuff like Zootopia or, Tarzan or, any of those sort of properties in the Animal Kingdom just out of necessity, just out of what the corporation, what the executives want, because it would bring an attendance spike and all that sort of stuff, even if it is sort of a detraction or a departure from the park's current core vision. And if you look at something like Avatar that they put in the Animal Kingdom, that isn't really about real life animal problems, It's about sort of like these humanoids that are on another planet, in the world of Avatar, these avatars. It is sort of about human problems if you really think about it. You have the Banshees, it's all about the nature. That's where the focus is, and Joe Rohde did a great job of really making it relevant to the Animal Kingdom. But at its core, what are those avatars? Like when you're syncing up, like you're a human and you're syncing up with this avatar and then you're riding the Banshee. So I guess it's about the animal in terms of the Banshee itself, but the avatars are basically, they're people, right? So that's where it sort of departs a little bit from the theme of the Animal Kingdom, that core idea. And the other concern I have is, not too long ago, Bob Chapek was asked at the opening of one of these Galaxy's Edge things, he was asked about sort of new rides and things like that, and he was talking about how The reason they do a lot of the same rides in multiple places is because it's cheaper to do. Now, I don't think Bob Chapek, the chairman of the parks, realized he's talking to the fans, right? He's not talking to the investors. So probably not the best thing to talk about, but he was talking about, how when you develop an attraction once and then you duplicate it over several parks, you get multiple attendance spikes, all that sort of stuff, but you only get to develop the attraction once, right? And they're already making a Zootopia Land for Shanghai Disney right now. So once it's already developed and all that's been paid for, and they already have the blueprints and everything ready to go, and they can duplicate the land over several places or the attractions over several places, that's where I think the Animal Kingdom might be in trouble, because I think the Animal Kingdom is the lead contender for where Zootopia would go next after Shanghai, in my opinion. So that's my concern there, is at some point this idea of the park being exclusively about real life animal problems not really necessarily being the case, because there is going to be that pressure due to economic factors, getting more people in the park, attendance spikes, recognizable IP, so people plan vacations. That's where they're going to want to put more intellectual property in the Animal Kingdom, and that's where I think we might have a little bit of a theming, a little bit of a executives versus Imagineering clash, a little bit of a disagreement on that front. But we'll see what happens. Let me know your guys' ideas as to what Disney should do with the Rafiki's Planet Watch area, as well as Dino Land USA, because I do think that we will see something substantial come to both of those in this decade. We'll see what happens there. Awesome question, Tomas. If I did not answer your question on this week's show, you can re-enter it again in the comments below to re-enter the lottery. You can ask a new question, or if you don't care about being answered here on the show and you just want me to respond to your question, you can DM me on Instagram. I'm on there a lot. Of course, you can also tweet at me on Twitter, and I'll get back to you on whatever Disney question you may have. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave your Disney questions in the comments below and ask them right here on the show. This week over in Epcot, as part of the continuing surge of walls that are coming into the park with all the overhaul work on the way, the new Future World West Bypass Walkway got a new graphic on one of the walls reading our shared story, Spaceship Earth, in that beautiful new Epcot font, and alluding to the coming overhaul to the attraction that'll move the attraction from focusing exclusively on communication to a wider exploration of storytelling throughout history and throughout all cultures, from cave walls to modern day. All right, it's poll time. Last episode, many moons ago, last episode was May 2019. So in May 2019, we asked, when do you think the Tron Coaster will open? And the majority of you said at the time, late 2020. Of course, that was a while ago, and I think now we're looking more at 2021 for sure, but the coaster is coming together quite quickly and quite well, to say the very least. So I think we will be looking at a pretty early in 2021 opening. Let me know what you guys think about that. I mean, it really seems to be coming together nicely. This isn't something we're like biting our nails. Is it going to be open in time for the 50th? Is it really going to be able to? It's going to make it no problem. Disney definitely had the foresight to get everything together to make sure Tron would open well in time for the 50th anniversary. This week, based off of the questions we answered, how will Disney open the Runaway Railway? A, with a virtual queue, B, with a standby queue, or C, with a FastPass and standby queue. To vote, be sure to watching from the YouTube mobile app or youtube.com on your computer. You should see a little info symbol right here. Just click there, make your vote. Your voice has been heard, and we'll read the results next week, or whenever we do another show, probably next week or even earlier. Just consider that. But there were so many awesome questions on that tweet. When I asked for questions, I might just do another whole batch just off of that, and whatever else you guys will leave in the comments below. So get those questions in there. That's all the latest talk in the world of Disney this week. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the latest Disney news and discussion right here. We're building a pop vinyl collection on this shelf, episode by episode. This week, I don't have my brother anymore to throw me the pop vinyl. So this week, it's coming out of my computer. We have The Mandalorian. How could we not? Definitely the MVP since this show has been gone. Definitely the MVP lately, The Mandalorian has been, although Baby Yoda definitely up there, probably surpassing The Mandalorian himself. Here we go. Awesome. That's all for this episode of the Magic Weekly. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Braden. Have a magical day. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of the Magic Weekly. I really hope you enjoyed it. as I said, I think I might do another one of these for this weekend. So let me know what you guys think about that. Leave some questions below, and I will get to that. I would like to do that. That would be awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this format. It's been so long since we've done it, and it is a little sad because since I started this show, I've always done it with my brother. You know, he's always thrown in the pop vinyl. He's always done like the opening shot, you know, like on the slider thing. And, you know, now I'm solo, you know, I'm here in Florida, I'm here in Orlando, I'm here in my apartment, doing this all by myself, you know, so it was pretty fun. I really just enjoy just talking for a while, you know, about the latest going on in Disney, but not just about the news, but just speculating, you know, just talking about what could happen, what might be next, you know, all that sort of stuff is really fun. Some people say, don't do the speculation, you know, oh, that's not news, that's speculation. Yeah, it is speculation. I enjoy, you know, sort of saying like, what could Disney do next? And sort of getting in that, you know, imaginative state where you can be like, what would Disney do here? What would Disney do in this situation? I also talk about some like the corporate, some of the management type stuff. That stuff is really interesting to me, you know, how the company is run, how Disney is run, how the parks are run, all that sort of stuff. It's so much fun to talk about. I have really been enjoying it down here in Orlando. Truth be told though, since I moved down, I've really done nothing but go to Disney, go to my apartment, go to Disney, go to my apartment. Like I've done almost nothing else. I think I've gotten out, like I think I've gotten out of the city to other parts of Florida like twice. I've gone over to the East Coast a little bit. I want to check out like the Cape Canaveral stuff, you know, maybe see like a SpaceX launch or something like that. That'd be pretty awesome. So I might do that one of these days. That'd be pretty cool. And yeah, but I actually also, I hate to say this, but I do think I am going to get like an annual pass, you know, for Universal to see what's going on over there. Because I figure, you know, the thing with the Universal, I haven't been to Universal in many, many years, but it does seem, you know, speaking of the executives, like they really do, you know, they're talking about like, oh, if we didn't do XYZ, our competitors would do XYZ. So it's very clear that their main competitor these days, Universal, is very ever present in their mind. So I'd like to go over there and see what all the fuss is about, right? See what's going on. Now, obviously I'm a Disney guy to the core, so I'm sure that'll take a little bit away from the enjoyment of Universal, but also I'm not like a huge thrill ride guy. That was why I was never really into Universal as a kid. I'm more about like the themed environments, right? The whole idea with a theme park is that you can take away the rides, you still have a theme park. If you go to something like Six Flags, if you take away the rides, you have nothing, right? You have a parking lot, you know? So that's sort of the thing where I really love like just being in the atmosphere of Disney, being in Pandora, being in Star Wars Land. But looking at Universal, they have themed environments like that too now, you know, being in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, being in Jurassic Park. So I definitely like to check that stuff out since I really haven't in a while. And so I definitely think I'm going to do that. I'll get the annual pass in a month or two here, and I'll come back to you with my thoughts maybe in another one of these, you know, post segments of the Magic Weekly, let you know what I thought about Universal, checking everything out over there. I think that'd be pretty fun. But yeah, I've really been enjoying being down here, going to Disney a lot. I'm not a fan of everything in Orlando. The humidity, you know, the weird weather. Like yesterday it was like freezing, and then the day before it was like super windy. Like I couldn't even film a video because like you wouldn't be able to hear the audio. And then the day before that it was sunny, like super warm. It was like the summer. It was like 80 degrees, like all over the place. That's pretty crazy. And you know, so I do miss my home a little bit in Atlanta, but I have definitely been enjoying it down here. I need to make some friends though. You know, I just make my videos. I just make my videos, you know, hang out in my apartment. But, you know, I'm getting into the swing of things. You know, I'm getting into the swing of things. So don't worry about me. I'm doing just fine. I thought I would dress up because this is a weekday Magic Weekly. You know, usually the Magic Weekly comes out on the weekends, but we're in the week here, so I thought I'd be able to dress up a little bit more professional. But we'll be back to the regular Mickey Views garb with this next episode. What do you think about all that? This is kind of a long post-show segment, but I just wanted to give something to those of you who watched to the end. Thank you so much for all the support. It really does mean the world to me, and I just want to say thank you. You know, it would not be possible without you. Having this set down here in Orlando, just think about that. That would not have been possible without the support of all you guys. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I could have never imagined that one day my set in Atlanta, I'd have it down here, I'd be right by Disney World talking to you. That is just absolutely crazy. Doing the Magic Weekly, yeah, so definitely a good day here. So thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. That's a wrap. Woo!